Gentlemen, welcome. Today we're going to return to No Step Back DLC related content, and we're going to partake in a bit of a challenge recommended by one of you. Go ahead and leave a comment below with any challenges, mods, or anything of that nature you'd like me to check out, and I might make a video out of it. But anyways, like the comment said, we are going to be playing as Lithuania today. And the challenge is that we are going to fight off both the Soviets and the Germans without giving up any territory. And in case you're wondering, if the tide does not turn in my favor, I will not quit. I will not give up. I will not click the quit button until either I or my enemies have capitulated. Even if the war is not going in your favor, I believe that there's always a chance to turn the tides. Especially against the AI. Come on. How hard can it be against the AI? I mean, really. Alrighty, boys. Take a seat, buckle up, this is going to be quite the ride. Lithuania, let's go. So we start out in a bit of a precarious situation. We are, surprisingly enough, one of the weaker Baltic countries, but no matter, we are going to change that. We want to immediately research trains, because that is one thing that we will not have in the beginning, is trains. We have 0. And if you don't have trains, you're not going to be fighting any wars successfully. You might fight wars, but you will not fight wars successfully without trains. Now here's where we need to make a choice of whether we start out with military factories or civilian factories. Personally, I'm going to start with mills because we can get a couple of them out before the war, which would be very important. And if you do decide to go with mills, you need to, as quickly as you can, switch out of civilian economy, because civilian economy gives a 30% penalty to mill production, and switching to partial mobilization pretty much gives you plus 40% mill construction speed. That's very important. All of it going to guns, and then once we research trains, the next factory will go on trains, and then motorized, and then maybe artillery after that. So as Lithuania, we start out with a couple issues with the brown shirt faction. Basically, we need to root out the Iron Wolf, which you can do after exiling Mr. Voldemort. But if you take the Lithuanian activist front focus first, you get 1% recruitable population. And as Lithuania, I think taking a 70-day focus detour for 1% population is worth it. But after we do that, we're going to move down the monarchist path here, King for our people, straight down to support monarchists in Poland and arm monarchist militias. After we do that, we're going to claim Livonia, declare on the other Baltic states. And once we get to that point, it'll be 1938. We'll have a couple months before Germany demands Memel. Even on historical, you can't always predict exactly when they're going to demand Memel from you. And if it happens early, you might not be ready. I would say you have to be prepared to hold off the Germans in 1938. And if you're not ready for that, then you're probably not going to survive very long. Okay, we have 175 political power. And if you're starting with military factories like I am, I recommend spending it on getting rid of the civilian economy. If we take a look, it'll take until the 11th of January in 37 to build that. It'll now complete in just a couple months. Very important to get as many military factories out as you can in the early game to make it easier for you in the long run. Now, once we hit another 100 political power, I'm going to go ahead and spend it on a chief of army, the defense guy, so we can start getting that ticking army experience. Okay, we've rooted out the Iron Wolf. Now we're going to do Lithuanian preservationism and move down to support monarchism in Poland. We're going to spend another 100 on an infantry expert, and we'll spend the rest on free trade since we have no resources. Okay, we have supported monarchism in Poland, and we brought back our own monarch. And I stored up a bunch of political power because we're going to start spending it now on basically just supporting monarchism in Poland. Now we're going to claim Livonia while making sure that we're still doing these decisions every time they pop up. Now that we're at 5 military factories, it'll take well into 38 before we can build another one, so I'm going to start upgrading the railroads. Okay, we're at 90 support now. Okay, once you finish the claim Livonia, I recommend declaring on both Latvia and Estonia at the same time. It probably won't happen, but sometimes they will catch guarantees if world tension is high enough. It's honestly not high enough now, but just to be safe, I declare on both at the same time. Now, the only advantage we're going to have against Latvia right at the beginning is that their troops are not on our border. They have about the same amount of divisions that we do, so they're definitely not easy to take out, but we are actually going to wait to push them until we have Poland as our puppet, so we can use Polish forces to push them rather than our own, because we don't have manpower. Okay, there we go. Poland's going to have a little civil war, but since we have 100% support, it should end very quickly. And as soon as it ends and they become your puppet, take all of their forces, move them to the border. Now we're going to do rejoin the railways instead of forming the Commonwealth, because if we're still at war when we form the Commonwealth, and if we still have these guys as expeditionary forces, the game glitches out and they become permanent expeditionary forces of Poland, even though Poland no longer exists. And if you delete them, you won't get the manpower or anything back. So we need to make sure we finish up these 2 wars, disband the expeditionary forces, and then annex Poland. There goes Latvia, and Estonia will be much, much easier. Okay, now at this point, I think it's safe to say that we will have this wrapped up in 70 days, so we're going to start to restore the Commonwealth. Okay, there goes Estonia. Now make sure you delete the expeditionary forces, because like I said, they'll glitch out if you don't. Commonwealth has been restored. Now at this point, Germany may or may not be going for Memel. If they go for Memel first, before they go for, say, the Sudetenland, then it would be really unlucky for us. But we need to be prepared for that. And that's why it's very important that you get Poland's 43 divisions. Very important. If they do go for Memel before Sudetenland, you're going to desperately need troops to cover the border. I recommend putting a bunch of factories on guns, because what you need to do for this is just spam out units, because you're going to be covering 2 very big borders. Putting a couple factories on anti-air, trucks, and trains, and then all the rest of them go on guns. Focus-wise, we need to get rid of the agrarian society debuff, so we're going to take this focus and then that focus. And now at this point, we're going to switch to limited exports, since now we actually have resources. And once we get rid of the agrarian society population debuffs, our manpower should not be as much of an issue. We're going to start upgrading some railways, making sure they're all at least level 2 or on the Russian border. Germany has demanded Memel. We're going to stop training our armies. So they decided to come for us before Czechoslovakia, which could actually be a blessing in disguise, because if we can hold them, we would not have to worry about the Czechoslovakian front at first, because Czechoslovakia would probably deny Germans' request for the Sudetenland, which means they'd be at war with them too, which would give us the opportunity to move our troops into southern Slovakia so we can cut them off from having this long front line with us. Okay, we're going to deny. They get the war goal. We're immediately going to start pushing them in Königsberg. We have our special troops up here with some artillery. Okay, we managed to capture Königsberg. Sadly, they caught Memel up here, but we're about to take it back, so it's not a big issue. Our goal is just to keep this encirclement. We need to force attack and last stand as much as possible. We have a couple months before the Soviets decide to declare on us. Our manpower is building up. Hopefully by then we'll be able to spam out enough divisions to hold that border, and we'll have weakened Germany enough. Okay, we finally closed the Königsberg pocket, which was a little bit harder than I thought it would be. And we did get pushed back quite a bit by the Germans, but so far we're managing to hold against them. And the line is, I wouldn't say that it's perfectly stable, but we are managing to hold. We haven't been totally defeated yet. Honestly, we're just waiting for Mr. Stalin to make his move to see if we survive or not. Okay, and there goes Czechoslovakia, right at the wrong time. Okay, the Soviets are going to be coming for us soon. At this point, a war against the Soviets and the Germans is not tenable on these fronts with our manpower situation and weapon situation. So I'm preparing a fallback line. Okay, there's the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, which means Soviet Union should be coming after us soon, which is not very good, because while we are holding against Germany, we have lost a lot. We've lost almost 700,000, even though we've killed 2 million. We've done a lot of damage. I don't think we're going to have enough troops to hold off the Soviets as well. We have a really, really big front line with them. And there they go, right after I say they're justifying, which means very soon they will be at war with us. I'm going to rethink my strategy. I think we're going to have to pull back even farther than I had, anticipated pulling back. So I'm going to pull a risky move, set up a fallback line. That will look something like this. Okay, we've successfully fallen back. And now we just have to set up against the Soviets and hope. Italians decided to naval invade against my unguarded ports. Fantastic. Okay. It's going really good. All right. Well, now we are at the point where we wait and see what happens, I guess. If we lose Vilnius, I believe we will capitulate. So I'm trying to move everything in there as quick as I can. And for some reason, they just don't want to go. You know? Why? So pretty much, we will capitulate if we lose a few more victory points. We're going to try to keep that from happening. We're about 10% away from capitulating. We've lost 1 million men, killed 2.5 million Germans, who, by the way, are still not at war with the Allies. So we have had no reprieve. It's been a constant onslaught from the Germans. Very unlucky. Our men were not in position at all for the Soviets, so the fact that we're even managing to hold what we are right now is just surprising, because we were not in position for them. Okay, now Germany is at war with the Allies, finally. Maybe the pressure will be let up on these borders, we'll see. We're still doing a bit of a retreat, fighting retreat. Our capital is threatened again. We really need this guy to hold. We're gonna do a last stand order. If we lose the capital, it is over. Finland has rejected their demands. Maybe that'll take some pressure off. There's the invitation to the Allies, thankfully. Maybe they'll send some planes over here, if they even hold. And I think they should hold, honestly, because we have weakened Germany a lot. We are issuing last stand orders left and right, holding for everything that we can. We're losing more victory points. We're at 93%. Soviets are going in on Finland. We need anything at this point to take the pressure off. And we lost Vilnius. Okay, we're going to take it back. We need to take it back. Our capital is now Königsberg. Interesting. We're going to pull another army off the German front, put it to the Soviet front. With that, we will capitulate. So unfortunately, this was a fail. We did manage to kill almost 3 million Germans. The Allies managed to hold off the Axis. So we did have a pretty big impact, despite losing the challenge. Our biggest issue was guns and manpower. If we had a little bit more manpower and some more factories to put on guns, we had pretty much everything on guns. We could have put out more troops, and if we were ready for the Soviet attack, we might have been able to hold them off a little bit longer. In the end, we might have lasted a couple more months if we were actually ready on the border with the Soviets, but I believe the outcome still would have been the same. At this point, we're going to let ourselves capitulate, and we're a government in exile. Holy shit, 120 divisions. What? We have 120 divisions, all unequipped. Okay, my last-ditch effort to try to save this run at least a little bit, maybe get a half victory, will be to just put all these expeditionaries into France and see if we can hold France. I have not called the Allies into the war against the Soviets because they wouldn't have helped me anyway, and because putting the Allies at war with Germany and the Soviets might have extended the non-aggression that the Germans have with them, which means the Germans might not declare Barbarossa, and I'm still holding out for that. The French are doing what they always do and abandoning their southern border. I don't know why the AI does this. We're going to try to defend it. We stopped the Italian advance, which is good. For some reason, the French AI just likes to give up this land after they start getting pushed. Not sure why. There goes Barbarossa, and the U.S. is in now. Even in exile, we managed to get a couple encirclements. There we go, we got another pocket. Now we have the Alps encircled. The Italian border is not defended at all, so we're just gonna push. We have taken Rome. And with that, Italy has capitulated. And Germany, wow, only 1 division per tile over here. We need to take advantage of that for sure. I'm gonna go ahead and let the Allies clean up what's left of Italy, move everything to that front right here, and push with everything we have. Moving up as quickly as we can. We are almost to Berlin, boys. They're moving their tanks back, and we're gonna get Berlin for free. We moved in just in time. We will still take it though. There we go. There goes Berlin. Germany's almost done. Now we're just gonna rush for the victory points, and it should be over. There goes Vienna, and that is it for Germany. And they pushed the Russians back very far. Hopefully they weaken them enough so the Allies can take them on. I'm going to call the Allies in to the war with Russia. We're going to go ahead and take our core territory, which would be Prussia, eastern parts of Germany. We're going to just rush our army to the Russian border and hope we can hold it. Okay, we're all lined up. I think we're ready. We're going to start pushing. See what happens. Okay, we've made a breakthrough in the south, so we're just going to battle plan it, see how far we can get. The middle seems to be the part that's holding. The north looks like it's falling now, but honestly, I think we got this in the bag. Okay, we have this middle pocket secure. I'm going to say right now that we got this. The Soviets are pretty much done for. We have taken Moscow. We're about to take Stalingrad. There goes Stalingrad. Now I'm sprinting for Leningrad. Leningrad is ours. And now Sevastopol's the capital. And that's about to fall too. Any minute now. Any minute now. That took a long time. All right. Gentlemen, that is quite the thick Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Even though we won in the end, I'm going to call that a half win, half lose because we did capitulate. I am glad that I stuck with it because I was thinking about just quitting after I capped. But after I got those 120 exiled divisions, I was like, we can do something with this. So we pulled a victory from the jaws of defeat, and this challenge was very difficult. I could have done a few things differently in the beginning, and it might have prevented me from capitulating. But overall, this was a very fun campaign. It was grueling at times. The world is as it should be. But alright guys, that's going to be it from me today. Let me know down below if you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.